Mr. Ahmed Owusu-Konadu Sahib, and you'll be speaking on the dedication to Khilafat. I call on Mr. Owusu to please proceed.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
There is no country in the world that I do not go in my imagination before falling asleep, or for whom I do not pray while sleeping or while awakening. I am not saying this to count favors. No, this is my duty, and may Allah, the Exalted, make me perform my duty more than ever. This is a very small and brief message of our beloved Huzur. Respected audience, I've been requested to say few words on the dedication to Khilafat. I've never been to the South Africa platform before, so I'll plead with your indulgence to bear with me if I'm not able to perform to your standard. Inshallah, I hope I'll be able to do something, hopefully. I've turned my camera on, but I guess it looks as if the platform is, you have to turn your camera off. So after my little introduction, I'm just going to go off, and then I'll be doing my speech behind the camera, inshallah. Jazakumullah. As I said, I've been requested to say some few words on the institution of Khilafat and the dedication to Khilafat. The institution of Khilafat is something that is very dear to every Ahmadi, and for that matter, every Muslim. Unfortunately, the other Muslims do not have this enjoyment, but Ahmadis do enjoy these blessings. To talk of it in a very simple, beautiful way, it is known that when there is evil in the world, Allah, out of his own mercy, chooses for us. He chooses a prophet. That prophet then becomes his Khalifa, who actually stays on the earth and start doing his duties on the earth for the Almighty Allah. When the prophet has been able to train people, has been able to give them the real tarbiyat from that human beings who were like animals, and brought them to moral state, and eventually brought them higher to the level of spiritual state where they start having a communion with the Almighty Allah, then Allah then calls the prophet. But what we notice is the opponents would always be in a situation where they will always wish to bring the prophet down. So when the prophet dies, they start jubilating. But that is where the second manifestation of the Almighty Allah is what is now exemplified, or what manifested in the form of a Khalifa. The Khalifa would then come, and the Khalifa is chosen by the same people whom the prophets have been able to train, to the point that they become selfless in their behavior. They are so much in tune with the Almighty Allah that they only choose the person whom within themselves they know is the one that is chosen by the Almighty Allah. So yes, a Khalifa is indeed chosen by the people, but there are people who are actually so much elevated to the point that they only choose people that they know are people that are really selfless, and people who lay their lives in the cause of the Almighty Allah. And this is what we see just within this past few days. We will notice the situation in the Ahmadiyya world where everyone was touched when the Khalifatul Masih announced that he's just gone for a procedure and is requested for prayers. And we see very beautifully in yesterday's Abd Khan's diary, where he brings the beauty of who a Khalifa is and what actually he does. You notice that the Khalifatul Masih, even with this major surgery, never ever slept. Within 24 hours, he was back on his feet. Where was he going? Going to sit back in the office to work for you and I, and to work for the Almighty Allah. This is the person that we call Khalifa. Now, to give you a bit of a glimpse of what the Khulafa has been doing and what a Khalifa is, I will quote some of the narrations from the Khulafa themselves. I will take it from our beloved Huzur. I will start with our beloved Huzur himself. When the beloved Huzur himself says, Can we organize mute whoever is unmuted so that at least we can have a bit of a flow, please? In fact, what I'll do is I'll rather start from the first Khalifa, who is Khalifatul Masih, the first, in the person of Hazrat Hakim Nuruddin, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who states in Kutbatul Nur, page 131, he states, your states in the hands of the Imam of the age should be like a dead body in the hands of the one who bathed the body for the burial. Now let's try to understand what Huzur, the first Khalifa, is trying to say here. Our state in the sight of the Khalifa should be like a dead body who is being bathed by the person who needs to bath him before. That's when they are performing the ghusl. Before what? They take him to the burial state. You can just imagine what happens to that dead body who is being bathed there. When you raise the hand, he raises. When you pull the hand down, he pulls the hand down. He can literally do nothing. He goes on to say, your aims and wishes should be dead, and you should attach yourselves with the Imam as carriages are attached with an engine. Then see for yourselves that you emerge out of darkness or not. We have been granted this age of Khilafat after 1300 years. And if it is not safeguarded, it will never come again in future till the day of resurrection. Thus, be grateful for these blessings, because thankfulness increases what? The blessings from the Almighty Allah. Now, this is a very beautiful way that the first Khalifa has actually put to us how we have to what? Dedicate ourselves, how we have to lay ourselves down for the Khalifa. I mean, this is not a lecture that we can do in 10 or 15 minutes, but then due to the time, I'll try to stay within. But then Khilafat is literally what makes us as Ahmadi. I'll go on to give another narration of second Khalif, Hazrat Mirza Bashiruddin Mahmud Ahmed radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who says, be exceedingly mindful of the fact that Khilafat is Hablullah, the rope of the Almighty Allah. It is such a rope of Allah that holding fast to it alone will lead you to progress. The one who would let go of it would be destroyed. Again, this is the second Caliph. And when we say the second Caliph, I believe we all know who he is. He's not just a normal Caliph. He's the Muslim Maud. He was a promised son who literally ascended the throne of the Caliph as well. So he's a special person in that guise. But then he goes on to even say that we as Ahmadis should in fact, whatever plans or whether schemes that we put in place, the moment the Khalifatul Masih brings any Sharia or any guidance to us, our plans and our schemes should immediately be discarded, and immediately we take on the Khalifa's one and we put it in the projects. This is what the Khalifatul Masih himself requires of us. Now, if we want to dedicate ourselves completely to the Khalifatul Masih, it comes in every form, whether individually or collectively as a Jamaat or as a group. What do? We literally surrender every actions or every thoughts, every activities that we want to do, surrender it and take on that of the Khalifatul Masih. And he says it is only when we do this that we can see what? Success in whatever we do. I also quote that of Khalifatul Masih Rabi, the fourth Caliph, Rahmahullah. He also says, he said, bind yourselves with the Khalifa to the day of resurrection with such firmness as if you have got hold of a strong handle that is never destined to break. Thus, if you have a strong relationship with the Khalifa, it will most certainly remain with you. And it is the mutual accord alone that shall ultimately result in the spread of the Tawheed and the oneness of the Almighty Allah and the spread of what we're trying to achieve, what we are trying to do today. And that is when we are talking about Tabligh. To be able to be successful in our Tabligh endeavors, what do? We submerge ourselves in the what? In the guidance of the Khalifatul Masih. We listen to the Khalifatul Masih, and whatever the Khalifatul Masih tells us to do is simply what we follow. And that is what is going to give us the guidance that we require. Looking at the world that we live in today, it is a very, very turbulent world. We all know it. I mean, no one needs to give you any lecture on this. Turn on the television, grab any newspaper, go on the internet, wherever, social media, wherever you want to go, just go. There's only something that you, if you are sincere Ahmadi, what you not like is most likely what you will see. We live in a world where we see that, unfortunately, arrogance and selfishness is what rules us now. Look at what is happening in Gaza. Go to Ukraine, go to any part of the world, and we see our Khalifatul Masih constantly standing on his feet, trying to guide us so that we can what? Navigate ourselves through this difficult, turbulence world that we live in. Take that aside. Look at how evil is actually in abundance. Look at I looked at my brother who just gave his beautiful presentation before me. His last slide, where our team who are in the USA doing a very beautiful job, the God Existence project, and you will see the atheists in their abundance, and we live in the world. I mean, yesterday myself, I was in the field, and you meet a lot of them, and all they will tell you is all the chaos and the troubles that we have in the world is actually coming from you people, you religious people. In fact, there is not even any God. This is the world in which we live in today. We live in a world that our children are faced with a lot of difficulties. We ourselves with difficulties. Everywhere you go, you see evil spreading itself. Now, what the Khalifatul Masih is now telling us is, if we really, really want to be successful in every sphere of our lives, then indeed we have to turn to the Khalifatul Masih in every guidance that it gives us so that we be successful. I'll give you another beautiful caption from the Khalifatul Masih, our President Huzur, whom we are so fortunate. We see his lifestyle now, and we always count ourselves so blessed that we have such a godly person chosen by the Almighty Allah in our midst, who is literally holding the light in this darkness. And then he's telling us we should all come and follow him so that he guides us on the right path. He says, it is a Khalifa that focuses on the pain of every Ahmadi of the world. And the Khalifa of the time prays for them. Now, it is quite interesting. We see our beloved Khalifa going through this illness. Despite the difficulties, the pain, and everything that he goes through, he wakes up at night and prays for you and I. He wakes up at night and prays that our tabligh endeavors are successful. He wakes up at night and prays that every challenges that we face in our world would be removed from us. This is the man whom Allah has chosen for us. He goes on to say, which worldly leader prays for you, prays for the alien? Now we know we have these worldly leaders who are presidents, head of states, prime ministers. The question Huzur is now putting to us, which of them actually prays for us when we are ill? Yes, there are institutions, hospital institutions, medical institutions are in place, but do they actually wish and pray for us that we are not ill? No, we all know this. He goes on to say, which worldly leader is anxious for the young women to get married and prays for them? Which worldly leader does this? Which worldly leader would have that kind of passion and desire that I want to what? Get all the youth in the community married. Huzur is setting up institutions such as Rich Tanata institutions, and then to just help the youth to get married and to marry in the perfect way so that they will have what? Peace in the world that we live in. He goes on to say, indeed, governments do provide education and also provide health services, but it is only the Khalifatul Masih of the time who is anxious for the Ahmadi children to seek education and is anxious for them to have good health. Now, what else do we want? when we have such a person who is laying his life down for us, would we not be prepared to also lay our life down for him? Every one of us belong to an auxiliary organization in the Jamaat. Whether you're Ansarullah, whether you're Qudam, whether you're Atfal, whether you're Lejna or you're Nasarat, you belong to this auxiliary. One of us any of us belong to one of these groups. And in all these groups, there is a pledge that we always uphold. And that pledge always say we have to uphold an institution of Khilafat. How do we do that? Uzu says it starts from what? The leadership. I'll read another caption, and this is taken from 6th of June 2014 Kutuba of Beloved Huzur. I'll read another small caption from Beloved Huzur in that particular same Kutuba. Huzur says, the Amirs, the Sadrs, and the office bearers should be the first people to self-reflect of their own standards of obedience. And again, this is where dedication to the Khalifatul Masih comes in. Are we indeed dedicated to the Khalifatul Masih? How do we do that dedication to him? Huzur is saying the leaders, the Amirs, the Sadran, the office bearers, the Shura delegates, they should be the first people to reflect on their own standards of obedience and ponder how they respond to any instructions of the Khalifa of the time. Do they obey instantly, or do they construe their own meanings of what is instructed? Huzur goes on to say, some office bearers act upon instructions received from the Khalifatul Masih of the time, but with such hesitation. This does not signify true obedience. Now, what a Khalifatul Masih, and this is what as a Muslim I would say, he said, every scheme that we have, whatever desire, whatever wishes that we have, the moment the Khalifatul Masih put his scheme in place, we abolish ours immediately and take on the Khalifatul Masih. And he says, this is what is called true obedience. This is what is called dedication to the Khalifatul Masih. And this is exactly the same thing that the first Khalifa also said, that we should become like dead bodies who have been bathed to be buried. What do we do? Whenever they raise our hands, however they want to toss us, we just follow that instructions. And he says, in that is a success. In that is where we have the blessings of the Almighty Allah. Huzur goes on to say, obedience is when something is followed instantly. Indeed, it is fine to have your own opinion. However, when the Khalifatul Masih of the time decides upon something, then one must overlook one's opinion and follow the Khalifatul Masih's decision immediately. And this is what is called what? The word dedication to the Khalifatul Masih. So if we really want to be successful in our tabligh endeavors, if we really want to be successful in our marriage affairs, if we want to be successful in the tarbiyat of our children, if we want to be successful in all our Jamaat affairs, in our personal and our whatever endeavors that we have, then this is the only key. Throw away your own desires, your own wishes, your own thoughts, and take on the Khalifatul Masih and start living with it. And that is the only way we can have our success. I'll be bringing my discourse to an end, but I'll finish it off with a beautiful message of Khalifatul Masih, which I'll paraphrase because of time, which he said at the Lejna refresher course 2016 in the UK here. When the Khalifatul Masih started recounting the number of hours we have in a day, the number of hours we have in a week, and Huzur then says, if anything at all, MTA is on your phones, on your devices, on your TVs, on your screens, 24/7. Jamaat is spending lots and lots of money in this particular course, only for our own benefit. But the question Huzur is asking us is, how many of us do that service, that dedication, that let me also turn on the television or turn off my phone or pick that book of the Khalifatul Masih or put ourselves down whenever the Khalifatul Masih is saying something. How many of us do this? How many of us would be so much dedicated to the point that we have the best football teams that we love playing, and the Khalifatul Masih comes on, and we put that football aside and say, Huzu is coming to speak, let's listen. How many of us would now put on our Ghanaian movies, South African Bollywood and whatever, Nollywood in Nigeria? How many of us would do this? Would put it aside when you have our own dramas which are coming on? Some of us are so dedicated, so much to the point that it becomes what, a daily and some of them even weekly routine that we never want to miss that drama. And the sad thing is that drama is only teaching us evil. That drama is only teaching our household, our younger ones, and our children how to flirt around. It is only teaching us how to take boyfriends and girlfriends. It's only teaching us how to use foul language. Yet, even parents, Ahmadi parents, sit down with their children and they make it a must that they will never miss these programs or dramas, which they watch regularly on the TV. We watch movies and all those bits. But when it comes to the Khalifatul Masih on our TVs, do we actually pay attention? The answer is, sadly, Huzu says, we are not doing it. And he says, I prepare, take my time, a lot of hours to prepare messages, to prepare my speeches, to prepare my addresses, to prepare my sermons and come and give it to you. And we provide to you on MTA free of charge. Yet you do not even avail yourself of this blessing which is coming in your homes. So if we do not do this, it simply means we are switching the blessings in our homes off. So may Allah forgive us. May Allah give us the whole essence of the blessings of the Khilafat that we have. May Allah enable us to understand the whole essence of the Khilafat that we have with us, so that through that process, we'll be able to inherit the blessings that we deserve in this world and the hereafter. May Allah forgive us all our shortcomings. Amen. There are so many ways that we can reach the Khalifatul Masih or have a link with the Khalifatul Masih. And I remember in the one of the Canada students of Jamia had actually requested Huzur that we tend to have people who always give the very excuse that we don't write to Huzur for the reason that Huzur is too busy. And then when we write to him, we tend to disturb him and we tend to trouble him. So as such, we don't want to disturb the Khalifatul Masih. And the Khalifatul Masih, who is being guided by the Almighty Allah, beautifully answers this question in a very beautiful way that first of all says, I hope those people who are saying this are not just giving their own lame excuses, because a lot of times some of us would just give that as a means of an excuse not to write to the Khalifatul Masih, because probably we are busy in our own worldly endeavors or busy in our own spheres or whatever we are doing. So the Khalifatul Masih says, no, don't give those excuses. I, as the Khalifatul Masih, has never ever made any complaints to anyone that you are burdening me with your letters. In fact, how would you feel if you are a dad, a spiritual father, or a dad for that matter, and your children fail to get in touch with you? How would you feel? You would definitely not be happy. So Huzur expects us to reach out to him. And he says, if for any reason, even if your case is a very genuine one, and as such, you feel that you are going to trouble the Khalifatul Masih, and as such, you do not want to, right? Then Huzur says, at least do 2 rakats of Nawafil for him. Now, this is a person who is constantly listening to us. We write to him on a daily basis. Almost each and every Ahmadi who has gone through some trouble in his life will tell you, yes, I didn't write to the Khalifatul Masih. And when that letter was written, we had the blessings of an ease that we received, because Allah has already made that promise in the Holy Quran himself. So Huzur says, we should continue to write to him. Now, there are so many ways we can do that. You can write a letter through your Amir, or through the post, or through, there are so many several means. Myself, I do receive a lot of letters from people around the world that I pass on to the Khalifatul Masih's office for him. So please make avail of yourself of these blessings which we have. Try to link up with the Khalifatul Masih Again, another way is pray for him, the Khalifatul Masih all the time. That is another way of you linking up the Khalifatul Masih. And very importantly, try to listen to the Khalifatul Masih and put it into practice, whatever he's saying. And that is the best way of actually linking up to him. And that can be done through any means. You don't have to necessarily be here in the UK or wherever you are. You can watch Huzur, listen to whatever he's saying, and put it into practice. So may Allah enable us to do so. Amen. Jazakumullah.